Good morning students, I am Munaza Basu, your teacher for the day. And today I am going to discuss the topic which we have already discussed in the previous video, that is organizing. In this chapter, today I will discuss about delegation, about centralization and decentralization. What is the meaning of this term, delegation? Delegation means division of power and authority downward to subordinates. Or it means entrusting the part of your job to someone else. Or we can say it refers to subdivision or sub-allocation of authority and powers to subordinates to achieve the results of the organization. In the words of Lewis Allen, delegation means entrustment of responsibility, authority to another in order to create accountability for performance. So in this definition, I use three terms: authority, responsibility, and accountability. These terms are the elements of delegation. Now coming on to the meaning of this authority. Authority means the right of an individual to give commands to the subordinates, or it refers the right to take decisions which is inherent in the managerial position. You expect what you expect from others. Then this authority flows from top to bottom. Coming on to the next, that is responsibility. Responsibility means the obligation of the subordinate to complete the assigned task. It flows from bottom to top. And next is accountability. Now, accountability is the answerability for the outcome of the assigned task. The subordinate is held accountable to the superior, but this accountability cannot be delegated, cannot be transferred. I will give you an example. A is given some task with sufficient authority and responsibility. Then he delegates this task to B. He delegates the authority also, he delegates the responsibility also to some extent, but accountability still rests with A. So we can't delegate accountability. Now let us differentiate the three terms: authority, responsibility, and accountability. On the basis of emergence, authority arises from the formal relation in an organization, while as the responsibility, it rises because of superior-subordinate relation. Accountability rises from the responsibility. Then coming on the basis of difference of delegation. Authority can be delegated. Authority is delegated from the superior to subordinate. Responsibility can also delegate, but to some extent only. This accountability cannot be delegated. Now on the basis of flow, authority flows downwards from the superior to subordinate. Responsibility flows upwards from subordinate to superior. And accountability, it also flows upwards from the subordinate to superior. So this was about the delegation of authority. Now coming on to the importance of delegation. Now what is the importance of delegation in an organization? It increases managerial efficiency. By delegating authority to subordinates, managers get free from the routine work and they can focus on priority areas and can venture into new areas. With this freedom from the routine task ensures or enhances the managerial efficiency in the organization. Next is employee proficiency. Because With the delegation of authority, the subordinates are responsible to complete their assigned task. They get an opportunity to prove their skills, apply their skills also. So it increases or enhances the efficiency of the employees. Then is motivation. It satisfies the psychological benefits of the employees because they feel that they are the part of the organization. So it motivates them and encourages them to give best to their organization. Then is growth. Delegation of authority helps in the easy expansion and growth of the organization, because by delegation of authority, the people can concentrate, or we can say the managers can focus on the key areas or priority areas, which will be helpful for them in the phase of growth of the organization. They can take the leading position during the growth of the organization. Then is hierarchical structure. This delegation of authority gives a hierarchical structure. It determines the reporting relationship, who has to report to whom. Then is coordination. When it gives a clear working relationship, it minimizes the overlapping of activities, which improves coordination and efficiency in the organization. So this was about the delegation of authority and its importance in the organization. Now coming on to the next topic, that is centralization and decentralization. Now what is the meaning of the term centralization? Centralization means the concentration or retention of authority at the top level management only. The retention of authority for taking decisions for the specific areas is in the hands of one or few of the managers. But on the other hand, the decentralization means the systematic delegation of authority at all the levels of management and in all respective departments. An organization is said to be decentralized when the authority to take decisions lies at their respective level. Top level management retains the authority of decision making, control, coordination, and middle and lower level managers, they retain the authority to take actions or to take decisions for their assigned task. So authority is even pushed to the lowest level of management. In the words of HENRI, everything that goes to increase the role of subordinates in the organization is decentralization. Now, what is the importance of decentralization in the organization? The first one is it develops initiative among subordinates, because in the process of decentralization, the subordinates can question their judgments and skills because they are given the freedom to take decisions. They have authority to complete their assigned task. So in this process, they can develop solutions to the problems. This helps them to promote their self-reliance and confidence among the subordinates. And in this process, we can also identify the potentially dynamic leaders and the decision makers. The next is, it develops talent for future use. As in decentralization, the employees can act independently. So they can gain invaluable experiences. So in this process, we can identify those who can take positions, leading positions in the future. It also helps them to filter out those who are not able to perform well with greater responsibilities. The next one is quick decision making. In decentralized structure, the decisions are taken at the point of action. We don't have to wait for the approvals from the top level of management. So decisions are taken at this point of action, at the respective level of management. In this process, there is a lesser chances of distortion of information because the information does not flow through longer scales of communication. Then is relief to management, because in decentralization, we give autonomy to the lower level management also. So there is no need of frequent supervision by the subordinates, by the superiors. So they can control with the help of other forms. They can focus on policy making decision rather on both policy and operation decisions. Then is it facilitates growth. By giving autonomy to the lower level management, we also grant authority to the departmental heads. And each departmental head want his department to be at the top. So there is a sense of competition among the departments. This competition will help to increase the level of productivity in the organization. Then last one is better control. Decentralization helps in the process of evaluation because they have to evaluate the performance of individual departments which are now accountable. Additionally, feedbacks from different departments bring varying perspectives to the table. So there are a number of systems, control system. For example, balanced scorecard, for example, management information system. These are being evolved. So decentralization allows exerting creativity with regard to performance evaluation system. So this was about the decentralization and its importance in the organization. Now coming on to the difference between delegation and decentralization on the basis of compulsory and optional. Delegation is compulsory because no individual can perform all the tasks alone. So it is necessary to delegate some of the tasks to the subordinates. On the other hand, decentralization, it's optional because it's the policy matter. The management may or may not opt for this decentralization. Then on the basis of level of hierarchy, in the delegation, power is delegated to one level, that is from superior to subordinate. But on the other hand, in decentralization, it is delegated to multiple levels, from top to middle, middle to lower. Then the aim of the delegation is to burden the load of managers at the top level. But the aim of the decentralization is to empower the authority to all the levels of management. Then on the basis of policy matter and the routine function, delegation is a routine function, whereas decentralization is a policy matter for the organization. So this was about the difference between delegation and decentralization. Now coming on to the difference between centralization and decentralization. On the basis of authority, centralization, there is retention of authority at the top level management. But in decentralization, the authority is delegated to other levels, middle and lower level. Then on the basis of creativity, centralization restricts creativity of subordinates because the authority is retained at the top level management. But in decentralization, there is a scope for creativity because the middle and the lower level can take the decisions but within the limit. Then the workload. In decentralization, the workload will be on the top level of management. But in decentralization, there is lesser workload on top level management. Then the scope of delegation. In decentralization, there is a restricted scope because the authority is not delegated. It is retained at the top level management. But in decentralization, there is a wider scope for delegation. Then subordinate initiative. In centralization, it restricts the subordinate initiative because the employees have to act as per the pre-decided path. But in decentralization, it encourages the subordinates to take initiative and encourages them to action for the required functioning. Then the decision making. In decentralization, decision making is slowed down because we have to wait for the approvals from the top level management because they retain the decision making power. But in decentralization, the decision making is quick. We don't have to wait for the approvals of top management. They can take decision at the point of action. So this was about the difference between decentralization and centralization. So with this, we have completed the topic organizing. In this chapter, we discussed about the concepts of organizing, the structure, organizational structure, then delegation, then decentralization. Hope you have understood this chapter. We'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.